Hi everyone, I'm Matt Knickerbocker and you're watching Bethel Today. This is a very special show for Richie and I. I'm joined tonight by Rich Straighten, who is the Selectman-elect for the town of Bethel, one of the two Selectmen-elect, and of course I am your new first Selectman-elect. And this is a special show for a couple of reasons. Number one, this will be my last show as host of this show that I've done for a couple of years now. And number two, this will be the last time that Richie and I will be able to get together and shoot the breeze on camera, because once we are sworn into office, which is going to occur a week from tonight as we tape this show, we can't be together and talk about town business unless it's posted as an official meeting. And of course we will comply with the law, so this is our last chance to talk about the campaign season and some of the things we want to get done once we get sworn into office. So Rich, welcome to the show again.
Well, thank you, Matt, and I want to congratulate you also.
And congratulations to you.
We ran a great campaign, and fortunately the voters elected us to lead them in the next 2 years, and we're looking forward to doing that for the townspeople.
Now, there is another person in this picture, not in the picture on your screen, but the other selectman, Mr. Paul Zatkowski, who won a re-election bid. And Richie and I both want to congratulate Paul on him and just let him know that we are really looking forward to working with him, and I think that the three of us are going to make a great team in working for the town of Bethel.
Right.
And I also want to, we haven't really had a chance to go on the air, so I want to officially thank all of the people who supported us in the campaign, those people who worked for us, who made phone calls, who went door to door, especially those people who donated very generously to the campaign coffers. It's an unfortunate reality in the world we live in that expensive campaigns are a fact of life. There's no way around it. Even in a town the size of Bethel, it takes quite a bit of money to create the literature, to do all the materials that you need to get your message out. So I really want to thank all of the folks who donated so generously to the Matt and Rich campaign of 2009. Lots and lots of folks, hundreds of folks in fact, put out signs, did big things and small things to make this a successful campaign. So we really appreciate all of the effort that went behind it.
I also would like to thank the public also for the hospitality. You know, door knocking. You know, people took the time to talk to you. You know, no one really slammed the door in your face, and they were very helpful in us formalizing our campaign and what needed to be done for the people in town here. So I want to thank the people also. Right.
You know, you're right. We both had the opportunity to meet a lot of really interesting and great people here in Bethel, and I think that was the best part of the 5 months we spent campaigning, is meeting people face to face and hearing what's on their mind. Whether they were for us or not for us, they generously shared their opinions and thoughts, and they were almost universally polite, respectful, appreciated what we were doing. You know, not having been in a campaign at this level before, I expected people to be a little bit more standoffish and not being that eager to be bothered by people who are campaigning for office. But to my surprise, and this is a good thing, people really enjoy talking to the people who are campaigning for office, and they like sharing their opinions, and they are engaged in the democratic process, and that's a great thing for our town and for our country, really.
Right. It is.
Well, let's talk about some of the issues that are going to be coming up. So as we sit here tonight, the official swearing in is 1 week from today, and I'll remind you a little bit later of this again, but the swearing in ceremony is going to be held at Bethel High School. And please note, that's a change. In the past few election cycles, that swearing in has been held at the middle school, but we've changed it to Bethel High School in the auditorium at 7:30 in the evening. And of course, as usual, there'll be a reception following, and the public is welcome to this ceremony. And it's a wonderful thing that in a democracy, power changes, authority changes, and it's done in a peaceful, respectful fashion. And it's one of the hallmarks of how democracy is run in the United States of America. So we hope you can join us. But so then the work really starts. Not that we haven't been busy already.
Right.
But, let's see, how have you had a chance to talk to any of the folks in town at Town Hall yet?
Well, some of the department heads I have spoken to, and I know you've been very busy talking to the other department heads. you as first selectman, you're going to be in the office every day. So you're going to have the main contacts with all the department heads, and people coming into town will be greeting you at the front door there. There are a lot of things that some of the things we weren't aware of, that there are some problems in town that is going to need to be addressed, and we're going to have to look to see where monies are available for some of those things. So there's a lot of hard work for us ahead. We're counting on all the department heads and people who work for the town to get us that information so we can make the best possible commitment for the town, and in some cases we'll have to go to the townspeople for some money to fix some of these problems.
That's a good point. I have not had a chance to meet with all of the department heads. I've met with a few. I am aware that there are some maintenance issues in Town Hall itself, in the Hergen Center, that are going to need to be addressed. Some long-standing problems that might need some engineering help, and I'm anxious to try to give our folks the resources to address some of those things as well. One of the things I wanted to mention, I did have a meeting already with Mr. Curina, Barry Curina, who is the town comptroller, to have some initial conversations about the budget. Budget season seems to come around earlier and earlier every year, especially when the budgets are as tight as they are these days, and the economy is so uncertain. So I did stop in to see Barry to ask him to give me an update and kind of get the lay of the land and see what kind of shape we're in. And there's some good news there. Barry invited me to a bond sale. And in case you haven't gone through one of those or witnessed one, this is when the town sells bonds to the market to the investment community, basically, to pay for some of the projects that the voters approve. And so I was in the room when we issued bonds to cover the high school renovation project, and the town also issued bonds for the remaining part of the Stony Hill sewer project. And the good news that I alluded to was the fact that the interest rates were very low. Our town's bond rating has been improved just within the last couple of weeks, which it's been upgraded, and that had a very significant impact on the interest rates that the town will be charged on these bonds. So those interest rates are far lower than we expected a few years ago. So on both of those big projects, the interest rates came in at about 3.7%, which was an improvement over what we expected. So that's good news. We're still going to have a tight year coming up ahead of us with the high school bond, but that certainly takes some of the pressure off in the way that went.
That's great.
Some other things coming up. As I mentioned, we will officially take office in 1 week on December 7th. And one of the first orders of business is going to be appointments to boards and commissions. So appointed boards and commissions, those appointments occur in January. And I would like to take this opportunity to invite the public, if anybody has been interested in serving the town in a volunteer position, and you're ready to step up and take that step, we would certainly like to speak with you, and we would encourage you to contact the First Selectman's office for more information after December 7th, of course, you know, when I can talk about it officially, but also contact your town committee of whichever political party you may belong to, and get information through that avenue as well, because we will be looking for people who want to share their talents and their expertise and help the town and serve it in that capacity as well. So watch for that as well. There'll be articles in the paper to remind you of that as we go along. One other thing, there is a kind of a hot issue that is on the docket right now, and this is being debated by the current Board of Selectmen before we even get into office, and that is the issue of the Bethel transfer station. So why don't you bring us up to date on what's up with that?
Right. Matt and I ran on premises. We weren't really in favor of expanding the transfer station. And since the election, the current administration has brought it back onto the front burner. And we're really asking them to hold off on that so we can get into the nitty-gritty of the operations that they were proposing. even stepping back a ways and maybe doing some surveys to see what the town of Bethel, the people, what the residents really want to do. And there's a couple different avenues there. I think we need to, as I said, get the public input on it. Do we want to make money as a transfer station? Do we want to just have a mom and pop type operation? Do we, want to have the trucks coming through town? Those questions should be put out there and answered before we proceed with this. I mean, just because we would possibly make money on this operation, it might not be in the best interest of the town. So there's a lot of questions that still need to be answered before we go forth on a major decision that would affect all people in town.
Well, that might actually be the better word. We're not sure. Well, and let's go back and kind of review some of this, because this was a topic that Rich and I spoke about on a previous edition of Bethel Today. And to make a long story short, the current administration made a proposal, and they did an RFP, which is a request for proposals to privatize the Bethel transfer station. And this request went out last winter, late last winter, early in the spring, I believe, like around in March. And there were two proposals that were received by the town. And then in April, those two proposals were forwarded to an attorney, a law firm down in Bridgeport, which does a lot of work for the town of Bethel. So the law firm was asked to review these two proposals and give a recommendation. And then nothing was heard about it. It was not on any Board of Selectmen agenda in the ensuing months. Rich and I spoke about it on a show, and we did some campaigning on the issue in the summer, and it wasn't on the agenda. And then just 2 weeks ago, it came back on the agenda. One of the two bids or proposals had been accepted, and the first selectman was asking the town engineer to prepare a draft of a contract to actually move this thing forward. And there are several very disturbing, at least I think disturbing, features of this proposal that I think we need to air and talk about as a community. One of them is that if we went down this road, the town would see an increase of almost tenfold in the amount of material being driven to the Bethel transfer station. So right now the current load limit is 50 tons per day, and that would literally go up to 500 tons per day with the addition of demolition materials from buildings that are being torn down and reconstructed.
Right.
And there's an issue of traffic with that, too.
Right. And, one of their comments in this proposal, they were saying, well, the traffic comes through Bethel anyway to go to Danbury or Newtown, and I find some of that hard to believe because of the train trestle and, the no truck supposed to be on Nashville Road going down through Nashville Road, which is a very narrow road. We have a train trestle, right on 53 there that limits trucks.
That's going to block the size of the trucks. Right?
One of their proposals is to possibly build a rail line spur there, and the material would be taken out by rail car. Well, that I'm sure would take some time to build. In the meantime, you would have large trucks, still coming in and out of town, bringing the to get rid of the construction debris. Currently, the trucks have to go down to the Reading area, turn around, and then come back on Nashville Road. So, that's definitely an issue that the people on Nashville Road, Reading, I think wouldn't be happy about traffic going down on that. They were against raising the trestle a few years back when the railroad was willing to raise it. When they rehabbed that trestle, the people on Grassy Plain Street, I'm sure, will not like to see any increase in that type of traffic on their roads.
Right. One of the justifications for this proposal was the belief that there would be no increase in truck traffic because the truck traffic is going through Bethel anyway. And I find that extremely hard to believe. And that was somebody's opinion. I'm not sure if it was a league from one of the attorneys or somebody making the proposal, but it was not based on any kind of a study of the impact of having heavy truck traffic now coming to Bethel to drop off a tenfold increase in demolition materials.
Well, as I mentioned, they were proposing to build a railroad siding. There has been no commitment from the railroad to build a siding there. What it would cost, or even if it was a practical thing to do. Just looking at the site, yes, it might be, but there's been no commitment by the railroad to allow them to put a siding in there. So,
nor has there been any review by inland wetland or planning and zoning, because there are some sensitive wetlands around that area. Now, one of the other things that was spoken of in that meeting as a justification to sell the transfer station and privatize it was the claim that the transfer station currently loses between $75,000 and $100,000 per year. And one of our associates went to town hall and looked up numbers just to verify that and see what they are. So, taken from the town's audited annual reports. So these are from the town's annual reports. I'll read off the last 5 numbers. In 2004, the transfer station actually was in the black. It made a little over $16,000. In 2005, it lost about $36,000. In 2006, it was in the black again, making a little over $19,000. In 2007, the loss was $55,000, and in 2008, it was $86,000. So it's certainly not trending in a positive direction, but to say it's losing $75,000 to $100,000 a year just isn't true.
And a couple years it was in the black. So
yeah.
I think we need to go back and look at that and see what was going on in those years that they did make money. Mm-hmm. Maybe there should be another fee structure or something there to make it work in the black. But we campaign down there, and there's certainly, I want to say, like the mom and pop type of people that comes in to bring their own garbage. They really enjoy doing that. Mm-hmm. And we should keep that. And we need to look to make it more profitable so it at least breaks even.
Well, I like your idea of doing a survey to see, and I think a survey had been done 10 or 15 years ago, if I remember, about the transfer station and how people like to use it, and what and the services they'd like to see. But I think we really have to hold off on this proposal and go back to square one and engage with the community and really have a discussion about what the goal is for the transfer station, such as, do we want the town to run this for the convenience of people who like to use it, come out on week mornings or on Saturday mornings and take care of their household refuse themselves? It's a very convenient place to bring that material. And if that's the goal, then I think we can find a way to run this as a break-even, or maybe make a modest profit. But it's really just something for the convenience of our residents. Or is the goal to make this a major revenue producer? In which case, I think we need a lot more studies and a lot more justification to this to really see if these numbers and these revenue projections are correct. Because we're getting a lot of conflicting information from other companies that say, well, the proposal you got isn't realistic, or the climate has changed, the market has changed, you can't expect to make money on recyclables, you're going to have to invest in a lot more equipment than what this says. So there's an awful lot of things that are up in the air with this.
Well, and ultimately the voters of the town will make that decision. The Board of Selectmen is not going to make that decision. It has to be brought before a town meeting, and possibly even a referendum.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. At least a town meeting.
Yeah.
And then
a town meeting is fine, but generally there's not many people that go to the town meeting. Even if you had 100 or 200 people at a town meeting, that's just a segment of the population, going to and approve a big issue. This is an issue that's going to affect the town for many years in the future, so we want to get it right the first time.
Right. Yeah, the proposal that's on the table right now is for a company to take it over for 10 years.
Right, with a renewable contract for another 2 5-year periods after
right.
that, too.
So it's not something to be taken lightly, and it's certainly not something to be rushed through in the next 7 days.
Right.
Well, there will be a Board of Selectmen's meeting on December 1st. Now, I believe this show is going to be broadcast twice, so you may be seeing the show after that's over with, but I certainly hope that our Board of Selectmen will table this and let's do the study right and really know what we're talking about. So let's talk about another thing that has come up. One of the big projects in town is the library project. I believe that building opened in 2001, somewhere around there, the library renovation and expansion.
No, it was after that.
It was
more like...
I think that's when we voted on it.
Yeah, it was more... I'm guessing at this right now, 2005, I think it opened.
Oh, 2005? Okay. Yeah, I was thinking of the original date that we started.
On that project.
But, well, it's an interesting thing because we've really been in a fundraising mode trying to get enough money to complete it, almost from the point that the ground was broken on the project, knowing we didn't have enough money to complete the whole thing. Right. So we've been fundraising for a number of years, and we're at a point now where we're getting very, very close to closing that gap and being able to complete the library, and I'm hoping that we can close that gap within the next year.
Well, I can fill you a little bit in on that because I'm currently on the library building committee, which I'll have to leave shortly, but hopefully I could be there as a ad hoc person type to help oversee it. The current administration this past spring appointed a building committee. They've been working with the library. The library has been tweaking their plans. Currently, the second floor of the building is totally empty. There's some renovations that's going to be happening in the Sealy House. There's some grant money there. They've raised money. We've asked the library board to go back and finalize tweak their plans, and it's currently been given to a cost estimator to come up to see if we're within the budget that they had set a couple years ago. Right. Hopefully, inflation has lowered some of the prices for construction work and materials. So we're waiting for that to come back, and hopefully that's coming back good. But once we get that number, they need to hire an architect and to do the final drawings and specifications, where it could go out to bid, and then we'll know exactly how much money they need. But the library board and the Friends of the Library have been raising money firstly, and they've done a great job. I have to commend them. A few years back, the town said that we didn't have any money for the expansion, and they took it upon themselves to start raising money, and they've done a great job to date. So
that's good news.
Yeah.
Now, with the project, it seems to me that when that was originally priced out, and I think the cost estimate was somewhere in the neighborhood of $3 million to complete it, right?
Correct.
There is a chance that now that the hurricanes are over with, some of the things that affected construction projects 3 or 4 years ago have abated. The economy has brought the level of construction down, and prices may have come down pretty significantly.
Oh yeah, that's very true. And the labor costs, contractors are hurting for work, and they'll shave their prices to get the work. And they're not shaving prices to do you a bad job. They just need the work to keep their men working, and they rather keep their men working than to make large profits. So, I think that's part of how the economy is going right now. It's a good time to try to start a project, as long as we have the money for the project.
Right.
But it's a twofold thing. You need the money to do the project. So.
Right. Well, people who watch the Bethel High School renovation project go through its progress might remember that there was a period of time after the first referendum, which approved the project and approved a certain amount of funding. Shortly, within a couple of years after that, as we were trying to get ready to do that project, there were some significant events around the world. There was Hurricane Katrina. There was another hurricane that flattened Florida, and I can't remember that hurricane's name, but it was a significant one. And there were really, it was a boom time in the housing industry and in the commercial construction industry.
Also worldwide, there was a
Yes,
big dam being built in China,
Right.
and actually they were shipping cement.
Concrete.
To China, and just skyrocketed the prices
Right.
of
Right.
cement and steel that we had here. So it made it escalated the costs for the high school immensely.
Right. So there was a period of time when contractors wouldn't hold bids open on things like steel, copper, concrete for more than 30 days at a time. And in a municipal project, you simply can't deal with that. It's because the prices were going up so fast. But all that price spiking seems to have come down, so we're hoping, we're really crossing our fingers and looking for a break so we can complete that library and get it open. But that's going to be one of the top priorities, is to try to close that gap with donations, not burden the taxpayers, but get that project open and done so that we can enjoy that space that the taxpayers have already invested in.
Yep.
Well, we have about a minute left. On our last show before we go official, any other comments?
Again, I just want to thank the townspeople for voting for us. You know, we've made the commitment to do a good job for them, and I know if we don't, they'll let us know about that, and we're going to work hard for the people of Bethel.
My guess is they'll let us know in about 3 weeks.
I was thinking a little shorter, but 2 weeks.
I think they'll let us go the first week, and then next one. Yeah. But I'm sure that we're both going to work hard, and I'm looking forward to working with Paul Zatkowski. Right. And I want to compliment Paul and his running mate Larry Krabus for running a very honorable campaign. It was a pleasure this year, and we're looking forward to getting to work with everybody. So to our viewers, thank you very much for watching. I hope over the years that we've been able to let you in on some things that you didn't already know and that you've enjoyed the show, and we hope that you'll watch again in the future. Bethel Today is sponsored by the Bethel Democratic Town Committee, and thank you for watching. Have a great night.